Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. Hong Kong authorities report that 128 are now dead with 79 injured, including 12 firefighters, one seriously, in a high-rise apartment complex fire in Tai Po. Rescue efforts are complete, but around 200 residents remain unaccounted for. US President Donald Trump announces that National Guard trooper Sarah Beckstrom has died after a shooting near the White House. He said the second soldier remains in critical condition and is fighting for his life. US President Donald Trump announces a sweeping set of immigration proposals. He vows to permanently pause migration from all third world countries and launch what he described as a reverse migration to restore order in the United States. Russian President Putin meets with his Hungarian Prime Minister Orban in Moscow, praising his stance on Ukraine and suggesting Budapest could host talks with the US on the conflict. Orban stresses that Hungary will continue relying on Russian energy despite European Union and US pressure. US President Donald Trump says the United States will very soon begin action on land to stop suspected Venezuelan drug traffickers. They will soon expand operations beyond maritime strikes amid rising tension and increased US military deployments in the region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv holds daily consultations with international partners to counter Russia's war. He adds Ukrainian and US delegations will meet again to advance frameworks for peace and security guarantees. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry confirmed that 2 Jordanians were killed after being illegally recruited to fight for the Russian army, with spokesperson Food Majali warning that such recruitment violates Jordanian and international law. The ministry has urged citizens to report recruitment attempts and has called on Russia to halt Jordanian enlistments. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei criticizes the Trump administration, calling it unworthy of contact or cooperation with Tehran. He also denied rumors that Iran had sent messages to Washington. And viewers, Hong Kong authorities have confirmed that the deadly high-rise fire that killed at least 128 people was started on lower floor protective netting and spread via flammable styrofoam boards and bamboo scaffolding. Security Chief Chris Tang said the fire quickly spread upward and was fueled by burning debris. 5 people have been arrested as of now, including 2 directors from Will Power Architects and 3 senior staff from Prestige Construction and Engineering. Authorities also revealed that fire alarms were malfunctioning and promised enforcement action. Adding on, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Hong Kong's Chief Executive John Lee have expressed condolences, with a full criminal investigation now underway. And residents of the Wan Phu Court housing complex are devastated after the deadly fire engulfed the development, claiming at least 128 lives and leaving 200 still missing. Many people who once lived happily in the community now face the trauma of unsurety. With neighbors gone and homes destroyed, police have arrested 3 construction officials on manslaughter charges after unsafe flammable material, including foam boards, blocking windows, were found to have contributed to the rapid spread of the blaze. Let's listen.
呢度係我屋企，望去嗰度實樓就係我屋企，嗰個排山嗰度就係我屋企。屋企應該係冇唔會俾我哋翻去㗎啦，所以我望到我屋企，我心好難受。開心嘅我哋屋企，我哋呢個小區嘅人都好開心嘅，知道。我哋呢個小區嘅啲人咧，生活個個都好好嘅， 都唔係話，都唔係話嗰個生活都係好幸福嘅感覺俾我哋，因為我哋日日翻工放工，街坊見到都好熱情打招呼，但係而家啲街坊我都見唔翻，又唔知佢哋點喎。
Moving on now, viewers, to news from Pakistan, where Imran Khan's son, Kasim, has issued a sharp warning to the government, alleging that the former Prime Minister is being held in inhumane isolation inside the Adiala Jail. His remarks come amid a surge of online rumors claiming Khan may have died in custody, triggered by an unverified Afghan media report. Kasim addressed on social media that it has been 845 days since his father's arrest and that for the past 6 weeks he has been confined to a death cell with no family contact. He claimed that despite court orders, Khan's sisters have been repeatedly denied meetings and that he and his brother have no communication with their father. Calling the situation complete darkness, Kasim has alleged that this isolation is not linked to security but an intentional effort to hide Khan's condition and whereabouts. He has warned that the Pakistani government and its masters would bear full responsibility for his father's safety. Kasim has urged international bodies to intervene and demanded proof of life, court-ordered access, an end to isolation and the release of what he called Pakistan's most popular political leader. Imran Khan's sister Alima Khanum has echoed these concerns, saying the family has faced months of inconsistent and restricted access, often waiting outside the prison for hours only to be refused. She has stated that Pakistan facing darkest time and the controversy continues. Adiala Jail authorities have rejected all rumors about Khan's health, however, or transfer, insisting he is in completely good health and remains in the facility. Imran Khan has been jailed since August 2023 and multiple cases are against him. He says all those cases are politically driven. And Abdul Yaqub, who's a spokesperson of Pakistan's PTI, is joining us live from Islamabad. Thank you for joining us here on NewsX World. I want to ask you, what really do you think is happening to Imran Khan?
Well, we exactly do not have any information, any clue about Imran Khan's condition, what is going on with him now. I mean, whether he's confined in Adiala Jail or he's present in Adiala Jail's premises. There is no news, no updates. There is no single person, reliable person who can confirm us. We don't have any source who can meet him. The meeting is being denied from last 25 days. Even the court hearings are postponed, which was supposed to be happened yesterday. So no lawyer, no family member, no immediate family member, no friend, no lawyer is allowed to meet him. So that is a very, very concerning. I mean, it's deeply concerning. We have a grave concern about his health and his condition at the moment. I cannot say anything with the certainty that what is exactly going on with Imran Khan and where he is exactly at the moment. I mean, this is a very absurd situation. It is creating panic amongst the people, amongst the followers of Imran Khan. It had never happened before. I mean, we have over apprehensions are that his life is at a risk, in a great danger, because dark historical record shows us that Mr. Bhutto was hanged, Benazir Bhutto was assassinated on the roads of the Pindi, Liaquat Ali Khan was killed in a public gathering. So the dark histories, we are getting more scared about Imran Khan.
But the government advisors are saying that he continues to remain in good condition and health.
Even, they are irrelevant in this matter. Usually, when the former prime ministers or popular leaders are being arrested, they are in the custody of the military establishment, not in the government's custody. So these so-called puppet government advisors or cabinet members are nothing to do with this. I mean, they don't have, even the prime minister do not have any uh, jurisdiction. I mean, when chief minister of KPK contacted prime minister when he got elected and asked him to arrange and facilitate the meeting with Imran Khan, even the prime minister shows his helplessness in this matter. And yesterday it was the ninth time that the chief minister of the KPK went to the Adiala Jail, and he spent the whole night outside the Adiala Jail and was being denied any access to Imran Khan. So this is the state of affairs at the moment. I don't know where it is leading towards.
What are your demands? I would want to ask that. And also, do you think that Asim Munir's, the crackdown on the PTI have escalated after Asim Munir's elevation?
Well, yes, so, the major crackdown was after the 9th May, where 10,000 workers were being arrested. At that moment, still there are over hundreds of workers under the military custody who are facing the military trials. Some are sentenced, and still thousands of the workers are behind the bars. And since this current in the current military leadership, we are facing the worst kind of dictatorship, and uh, the way they are trying to suppress us, it never have happened in the liberal democracies. So currently, it is like they are approaching with the medieval kind of approach. There is no rule of law, which we cannot even seek justice from the courts. We have court orders. Despite the court orders having court orders, the court orders are being violated, being humiliated by the authorities, by the police, by the jail authorities. So the only option left to us is to massively protest on the roads and go for the shutdown, uh, go for the strikes. Otherwise, we do not have any other option left.
All right. Well, for now, thank you for joining us, Abdul Yaqub on NewsX World. And viewers, we now move on to news from Russia. President Vladimir Putin welcomed Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to the Kremlin today, praising his balanced position on Ukraine. Orban, who is a strong pro-Moscow European Union leader, has consistently opposed tougher sanctions on Russia and criticized Western aid to Ukraine. During the meeting, Putin said that he would be glad to host talks on Ukraine with the US in Budapest. Energy issues were also highlighted, with Orban emphasizing Hungary's continued reliance on Russian energy. Orban added that Hungary will continue to rely heavily on Russian energy, signaling its commitment despite European Union and US pressure to diversify away from Russia. Now, Orban is the first European Union leader to take this stance on Russia, and he in fact has also criticized US aid to Ukraine. He will be meeting Putin very soon. There are also reports surfacing about how Orban said that he will continue to import oil and gas from Russia as it continues to remain the most viable option. Energy issues were also highlighted, with Orban emphasizing Hungary's continued reliance on Russian energy. It's signaling its commitment despite European Union and US pressure to diversify away from Russia. Now, Orban is a strong pro-Moscow EU leader, consistently has opposed tougher sanctions on Russia. He's also criticized Ukraine's dependence on the United States. And now let's welcome retired Major General Sudhakarji, who's an international relations and defense expert, into the discussion here at NewsX World. Welcome back, retired Major General, here on NewsX World. It's a very interesting stance that Orban is taking, one very similar to India's as well, as far as energy and oil and gas import is concerned. Do you think the elections due in Hungary next year has anything to do with this?
Certainly, Kirti, yes, because any activity now which is taking place along the Eastern Europe border and in Central Europe will have all the connections with the ongoing conflict and the economics which are supporting the conflict, both sides, I would say. And so much so, Hungary, we know the loyalty, the standing reputation, and its long-standing relationship with Russia, it definitely will have, because it is one of the countries which is not budging. You know, that at one point in time, like India stood its ground despite all pressures and all kinds of tariff and everything. India stood its ground and insisted, no, we support, we respect our strategic autonomy. It is in the national interest, it is in the interest of the people. Same is the case with Hungary. Back to you, please.
All right, to stay on with us, we now shift to another crucial news coming in. China's top diplomat Wang Yi will travel to Russia next week for high-level security talks. Beijing's foreign ministry announced that Wang will be in Russia for a routine Russia-China strategic security consultation. He was invited by Russian security chief Sergei Shoigu. During the meetings, Wang is expected to exchange views on international and regional issues of mutual concern and strengthen communication and coordination on key strategic security matters. The visit comes as the US renews its push to end the war in Ukraine. Washington recently surprised Kyiv and European partners with a new proposal to resolve the nearly 4-year conflict. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he would end the offensive if Ukraine withdrew from the territory claimed by Moscow. Otherwise, he warned Russian forces would seize it by force. All right, viewers, let's welcome retired Major General Sudhakarji into the discussion here. So what do you think is going to be the key agenda and outcome of this crucial meeting between China and Russia?
Kriti, the key agenda, as I see, would be revolving around the changing dynamics in the geopolitical churn. When I say changing dynamics, it will be in keeping with the larger interest central to all its activities in relation to China's national interest. When I say China's national interest, what is the China's national interest? As I look at things, you see, given the turmoil which is happening inside the USA in its domestic constituency and its extended outreach to resolve the issue in Middle East and in the Central Europe, the likely bottlenecks which are going to come its way, you see, there is a contestation, there is a strategic rivalry between China and the USA for their dominance in the world over. Today, while we discuss the issue on the channel, we need to acknowledge one fact, whether willingly or unwillingly, we need to accept that despite USA being a superpower, China has left USA behind in many issues, economics, technology, and critical minerals, rare earth element, and the supply chain dependence on China as a manufacturing hub in the world. Although the world order is trying to switch and diversify and de-risk its options, but the fact remains something on which the whole world order was dependent for 40 long years or more than that. You cannot actually switch your dependence overnight. It takes lots of time, maybe another equal amount, if not equal, at least 20, 30 years to de-risk. So under this backdrop, first and foremost thing that comes to my mind is that should, in any case, there is no light at the end of the tunnel in the peace proposal which is being given now, 28-point between Russia and Ukraine. But if, let's say, hypothetically, we all try and project an optimistic kind of outlook, let's say the peace actually materializes, it actually sustains. In that case, the dynamics will undergo change because what I feel, America in earnest is trying to take Russia away from the embrace of China. You see, America is trying to form a kind of a G2 separately when it comes to China. When it comes to Russia, it is keeping in the back of the mind that there are three poles. One is America, the second is Russia, the third is China. These are the global dynamics and the imperatives. So take Russia onto its lap, keep the Russia on its side, and isolate China in a manner so that it becomes easy for America or USA to firstly contain, then to counter, and if push comes to shove, if it is required, going for a competitiveness kind of a rivalry and then lead to a contestation, which is not desirable. So the key issue as far as USA is concerned, isolate China. The key issue as far as China is concerned is to isolate the USA and keep playing its game in a manner so that it attains, rejuvenates its Middle Kingdom concept by 2049 or earlier than that, and retains the authority and supremacy of a global power, which without firing a shot, not like proxy war which is being fought. China does not believe in fighting a kinetic war. China believes in fighting the war or winning a war without fighting one. It's the Sun Tzu's old saying. And the third component in your question is Russia. Where does Russia go? Russia, will it be there inside of the China or it goes onto the flank of USA? Well, that time is going to say. Everything can be changed, but geography cannot be changed. By virtue of contiguity, by virtue of proximity between Russia and China, there will be a degree of difference although, but there will also be a high degree of dependence on many issues. China will be continue to buy oil from Russia. Russia also would be dependent on China for many military hardware and other things, as also the supply chain management of many products and issues.
All right. Well, thank you, Retired Major General, for sharing your perspective with us and viewers. Let's move on now. The Iranian Football Federation has said that it will boycott next week's World Cup finals draw in Washington after the United States refused to grant visas to several members of its delegation. Federation President Mehdi Taj condemned the move as political and said he has urged FIFA President to press the US to reverse what he called unacceptable behavior. The US, which is co-hosting the 2026 World Cup with Canada and Mexico, has had strained relations with Iran for over 4 decades. Recent nuclear talks between Washington and Tehran, already tense over Iran's uranium enrichment program, collapsed in mid-June after Israel launched a major bombing campaign against Iran, a conflict that escalated into a 12-day war and drew brief US involvement with strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Let's bring back retired Major General Sudhakarji into the discussion here. So this was clearly in the writing. Are we even surprised with the action that Iran is taking?
Yeah, the writing was large on the wall. It was a known case. In fact, I am not surprised that such a ban would take place. It has happened for many issues. 2 of them you have listed out in the preamble which you have given. There are many issues. You see, even now, despite the fact that there is a ongoing conflict in the Middle East, to quite an extent, Iran continues to provide some of the military hardware to Russia. They have got a strategic partnership this year only. The leadership of Iran had visited Russia. They have signed, but that partnership is all predominated by economic paradigm. It doesn't have any military overhang or bearing. So when I say this, what I mean is that if Iran is attacked, will Russia come to its support with boots on ground. It doesn't say anything about yes, nor does it say no. So they are strategic partners. But it continues to provide the military hardware. Second thing is that if you recall the hijab issue and the lady who was taken into police custody and finally she died, uh, I'm forgetting her name, Asmin, she died in the police custody. That is another issue which is related to human rights. Also, the third issue is that you alluded to the uranium enrichment. You see, notwithstanding what is coming out in the open media, my research has suggested many on occasion that much against what Iran and open media is suggesting that it has already crossed or reached 60% of enrichment capability. I have sources to, credible sources to indicate that Iran has already crossed 86.7, rather to be more precise and specific, 87.7% of enrichment. The little boy which was dropped over Hiroshima way back in 1945 had an enrichment scale of 86.6%. So you can well imagine where Iran stands and how much effort would it require Iran to actually reach or have a nuclear warhead, which may be a big threat not only to Middle East but to USA as well. And last but not the least is that Iran consistently continues to actually, cause a lot of impediment to, hidden agenda of all activities taking place, despite the agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran with the help of China. It is not a reliable and credible partner for Abraham Accord because the feud or the conflict between Shia and Sunni is an ongoing conflict for past nearly over 1400 years. So that conflict to come to an end in the Middle East so soon, so abruptly, without any sustainable and consistent effort, overnight, I would say, comparatively overnight, is a very tall order and it's a pipe dream. So therefore, the entire dynamics, the historical perspective has to undergo change. There is a contestation between the three countries, Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Iran for Ummah leadership. And likewise, Shia Sunni will continue. Iran will continue to support like I have been saying through your channel, it is called the octopus doctrine. The head of octopus is Iran, and the tentacle of Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah and Habib al-Said. This is the fourth H. They remain active in addition to the militia with the support of Iran, although they have been decimated to large an account. But they will keep reviving with the ugly face. So under these circumstances, USA in no uncertain terms had made it very clear in the past as also now that the FIFA participation by USA with regard to these four names that are figuring, I think it is only four names, stands to be banned. They will not be provided visa. Right. Also, in the open source, I am given to some indications that the complete Iran is going to be banned. This is the latest is coming. Okay. So Iran is disallowed to participate in FIFA completely. That is what the latest is saying.
That's true, and I do see your point. But thank you for joining us here on NewsX World. And with that, viewers, let's swiftly move on to news from Thailand, where flooding in the southern country has claimed at least 145 lives as per officials, and receding waters revealed widespread devastation. More than 1.2 million households and 3.6 million people across 12 provinces have been affected. Songkhla province was the hardest hit, with at least 110 deaths reported. As flood waters retreat, rescuers have gained better access to submerged areas, recovering more bodies and aiding survivors. Streets and homes remain damaged, with overturned vehicles and debris scattered widely. Authorities warn that while rainfall has decreased, thunderstorms could still occur in some areas and some flood levels remain dangerously high. Moving on now, Google has dropped its antitrust complaint against Microsoft over cloud computing practices just a week after the European Union regulators launched an investigation into the issue. Google had alleged that Microsoft's actions locked customers into its Azure cloud platform. The move comes after the European Commission announced it would access and assess issues with the cloud sector under a separate process. Google is focusing on advocating for openness and choice in the cloud market as Microsoft and Amazon dominate the sector. The European Union's probes could lead to designating both companies as gatekeepers, opening the door to new regulations. And that's a wrap on NewsX World Report. Keep watching NewsX World for more international news updates.